I'm pretty good, man. Enjoying this awesome weather in the Midwest right now. Fall's my favorite time of the year. And
you ain't getting fall then, man. It's crazy, man. This weather is nuts.
Yeah, it has been over the years.
Yeah.
At least it's not freezing cold right now here in Illinois.
That is true. What is it outside right now, outside your door?
I don't know. It's roughly like 60 degrees, you know. You got the fall leaves, and you got the smell of burning leaves out there, you know.
Okay,
we
so
just hit Halloween.
You are getting your fall. I'm in Kansas City, and it's like 80.
Oh, my God.
And it has been 80 every day. It's nuts.
Wow, it's summer then.
Right, that's why I didn't think you were getting your fall. I mean, you're not too much farther north, but shit, you are getting the weather you're supposed to have. I wish I was with you.
Oh, I love it, man. Every time, at this time of year, I get in like the best of moods, and I'm just happy to be alive. You know, obviously the album just came out. We're really excited about that, and you know, every fall there's just something in the air that makes me want to play rock, jam or play rock music very loud.
Hell yeah, and like you just said, Live to Fight came out October 28th. New album for you guys. Where did that title come from, man? Live to Fight. Generally, you know, I'm more of a like fight to live kind of guy, but Live to Fight, where'd that come from?
Well, you know, fighting to live, living to fight, it's all the same idea and concept. You know, throughout the career of this band and throughout my whole career in music, it's always been an up and downhill battle. And, you know, not just in music, but in life in general. And, you know, I found myself in situations where I just wanted to give up, you know, and, you know, I've gotten damn near close to giving up on the things that I love and pursue, you know, in anything that I dream of, you know, it's gotten hard and it's gotten overwhelming over the years. But, you know, when I get that thought of not fighting for something that I believe in, or I don't really have much to live for, you know, I live a very boring life. And when it comes down to it, you know, us as a band and me as a person individually, I like to live for that excitement of life in general is what makes it worth living, you know. And every time that I've ever fought for something, anytime that this band's ever seen that little bleak of hope going away, you know, it comes back, and it's because we stick to our guns and keep fighting for what we believe in. And you know, I wanted that. We decided to kind of have that as the album title. You know, we went through a lot during our last release, you know, and there was many times that it just got really rough. You know, touring musicians don't live the lifestyle that they did in the 80s.
No, absolutely.
God,
not.
I wish it was the 80s right now.
That ain't no kidding.
You know, a lot of people like to trash talk the 80s and be like, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, you got to view it from my standpoint. You know, I'm on my second record deal right now. You know, I'm out there touring, and I'm out there touring with bands that I love, bands that I've looked up to half my life, and doing what I've always dreamed of doing. And I'm lucky enough to say that I have a career in music. But man, if this was the 80s, it'd be beyond a career. I'd probably be on my second liver by now.
That ain't no kidding, man.
There's nothing wrong with chicks in high heels, lots of money, in giant arenas. Like, I'm sorry. You know, and of course, badass guitar solos.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've talked to a lot of the guys from, you know, put out, you know, like Dave Mustaine, the guys from Europe, a lot of those older guys, and you know, they're like, you know, we partied our asses off in our earlier days, and now we it's different. We sit back and we get to appreciate the music, but man, we loved those early days. So yeah.
You know, I ran into Jack Russell from Great White not too long ago on one of these radio festivals, and you know, I was a kid in the 80s. You know,
yeah.
I was born in '83, and you know, I always looked up to a lot of the '80s bands because they're the epitome of the big rock star. And I'm all about production. I'm about things being larger than life. Right. And you know, even as a metal band at Beyond Threshold, you know, we put on hell of a theatric performance. We want people to get their money's worth. We don't want to just be some other metal band out there. Because you know what? There's a billion metal bands out there putting on the same show, in the same performance. And as Beyond Threshold goes, you know, we're versatile. We like to play rock music. We like to play thrash. We like to play metal. Sometimes it might get borderline death metal. Other times it's more metalcore. Other times it's, you know, we even wrote a song in the album called That Glam Song. You know, and it was great to write a song like that. It was great to, you know, go back to that organic part of rock and roll and do something happy. You know, we don't always do a lot of happy songs. Sometimes it's very dark, gloomy, and angry, but in society today, you know, it's all right to be happy. And it's all right to be happy to be pissed off.
It's hard to be happy today is the problem. That's the hard part.
Oh, with all the politics going on right now.
Shit.
And, you know, how the economy is, you know, the stuff going on overseas, all the fighting and the war. We even touched base on that on this new record. Yeah. And, you know, I don't want to go too deep into politics. I'm smart enough to do that. But, you know, it's hell of a world right now. But when it comes down to it, as a band, as a person, as a frontman, I want Beyond Threshold to be that reflection of why people love music and why people were happy in the first place.
Hell yeah.
And I think that we did a good job on this album. It's got a lot of different, it's a little bit more versatile than anything we've done in the past. And I'm just very happy and excited to get this out. You know, our last album that went out through E1, in 2012. You know, we wrote that Who We Are record. It's a great record. It's very dark. It's almost resemblant of, I don't know if you're a big Slipknot fan, but kind of Slipknot, Iowa. You know, that's why it's always going to be a one-of-a-kind for us as a band, but, you know, we switched drummers. We got a more technical, more fluent drummer. We got different rhythm guitar player on the record that's a little bit more versatile, has brighter riffs. Me as a vocalist, I matured a little bit and, you know, wanted to try different things, you know, and me and Todd, you know, we've always been the backbone of the band, and it's just really nice to have a new record out there now that we're a little bit more proud of being the current Beyond Threshold and what we represent, you know. It's the evolution of records, you know.
Hell yeah, man, that's great.
Some musicians will look back on an old record and be like, I hate that record, and I'm guilty of it sometimes too, but that's what makes those masterpieces in their own right too, you know?
Right, you use those to learn from, man. Learn and mold and, you know, shape your career with.
Yeah, well, you know, I've talked to numerous musicians I've toured with, and they're like, oh man, that album sounds like crap, and it's like, well, it probably does a little bit to you, but you know what? Some people like that stuff more than the newer stuff. You know, there may be people that might not like the Live the Fight record as much because it's more produced. It's got a bigger budget, you know. But you know what? I love that. Yeah. How I see it is your fans should get the best production they can out of the band and the best songs possible that they can get out of the band.
Right, but
you know, and we're.
I was gonna say one thing you don't know. Some people like to overproduce their shit and then they can't play it live, and that's the only bad part.
Yeah, see, that does suck to a degree, and I'm guilty of it to a degree on that record. There's some stuff on there where there's like you know, I was classically trained, and yes, I sing heavy metal, but I also sing a lot of rock, and, you know, I sing very soulful stuff outside of Beyond Threshold, and on that record, you know, I was an a cappella kid growing up. I learned how to sing through church choir. Right. Okay. Right. Like, I was a kid that got screwed. Yeah, I had to go to Catholic school and all that crap, and I learned how to sing. Yeah. But, you know, I lay down like an 8-part vocal harmony on that to Live the Fight. Yeah. There's no way that I could necessarily do that live, but I do have 4 guys that do sing live.
Right.
So,
are you ever going to try to do that live?
What's that?
Will you ever try to do that live, just for fun?
Dude, if I had my way, I would. See, I'm a little bit different than some of the members in the band. They're more meat and potatoes, which is great. That whole Pantera ideology towards like heavy metal, and I love. That's why they're in the band.
Right.
But me, shit, I would love to have multiple singers up there like Rick James or Motley Crue doing backups and dancing on poles and being over the top. I know we're metal, so we can't necessarily, you know, we got to stay within our, we still got to be, who we are. But yeah, if I was able to do that and enhance our performance, and obviously as a band we're still growing, but as we grow as a band and as our budget grows, you're damn right I would bring more people up there to get it as close to the record as possible.
Yeah.
Will I do backing tracks live? No. I got a lot of friends in touring bands. I'm not going to say who they are. I've been very disappointed in some of them that I look up to. But, it's kind of odd when you go on a tour and you're out with bands that you always thought were perfect. And you're like, man, their vocals are so perfect live. And then, we're like direct support to them on the tour. And then like all of a sudden sound checks happening and you're like, wow, sound check is great, right? But then the band's not in there.
It's the roadies in there doing everything for them.
Yeah, it's the roadies are just like, fine tuning their amps, or the band is sound checking, but the singer's not in there. It's like
right.
A lot of fun. Then they're like, Eric, you got to be easy on yourself on the road, and you might want to, do some tracks even if they're not the main vocal tracks or blah, blah, blah. You do a lot of harmonies in the studio. Why don't you do those backing tracks? And, to be honest, I thought about it. I'm like, man, perfection is good. And then I'm like, nah, you know what? Some of that raw live sound that you get, it may not be 100% exactly like the album, but sometimes it's almost better because it's just so raw,
I'll say I applaud you for that, because to me there is nothing worse than someone singing over their own vocals and backtracking and that shit. So I applaud you for not doing that and just it is what it is, man. So you got my support on that shit right there.
I appreciate it, man. Regardless of me being over the top with production or not, when it comes to the fans and when it comes to the Beyond Threshold diehards, we're going to keep it metal as F when it comes to our live show. And the only thing that I could say now is, I have no idea. Right now we're starting to chart on this album.
Yep.
We just debuted at number 38 on the metal charts. It's climbing.
Sweet.
CMG, we're starting to climb on the charts already.
Nice.
What's cool about the album right now, and like certain classic rock type stations right now across the U.S. are adding that glam song, and it's totally different than the rest of the album. It's definitely got an 80s feel to it, and I'm 80s influence, but then it, has some of that old school Ozzy feel to it, and it was a one of a kind of an album, but certain PDs really like that song. And then we released our main single is a song called Solitude on there. It's a very dark song. I wrote it about my father, after I wrote the Who We Are record. During that time frame, my father passed away, and it's something that really ate away at me. And I didn't know. I knew I took it hard, but 5 years later, I randomly wake up out of a depression, and I didn't even know that I was in. I just put myself in work mode, and so, we were at the end of the writing cycle for the Live the Fine album, and Todd comes to me. He's like, you know what? We need to write something a little, deep and dark, kind of like what we did on the last record. We wrote a song called Downside that kind of is like the part one of the Solitude song. And, I went about it different, opposed to me being depressed about, going through that and me taking it hard. I looked at it with a different mindset. It's been 5 years.
Right.
And, 4 years. Yeah, 4 years. No, 5 years, because we tracked that in 2011. Basically what I wrote about on the song, the track Solitude is, it's okay, man. It's okay to let go. It's okay to turn the page, and there's nothing wrong with that. And you do have to move on with your life. Everybody deals with more and different. I wasn't able to let go, and I didn't know it. It translated into that song. That song organically was very natural for us to write. And it didn't take a lot of time to write it, and it's got probably one of the catchiest choruses on the whole entire album. And I love it. It's dark. It's got a nice, we added some cool little like stabbing westward type harmonies on it. You could definitely hear a lot of, alternative influence on that song. There's a little bit of metal in there too, but all around it's just a great single. And what's cool about that is the alternative stations or alternative rock metal stations have been adding that. And then, there's stuff on the album that's extremely heavy that your underground metal stations are more into. And, some of the members are like, well, we need to stick with one single. I'm like, no, we don't necessarily have to stick with a single.
Spread the love, man.
Spinning a song, just because they're spinning a song doesn't necessarily mean it's a single.
Right.
But the fact that we are a versatile band and we genre jump a little bit on the Beyond Threshold albums is a good thing, and we should embrace it, man. You know what I mean?
I totally get you.
Some members aren't big. What's that?
Listen, I totally agree with you there. I don't see a thing wrong with, you're sticking to basically that. In my mind, metal and rock and all that shit is too genre generalized anyway. It's broke up into too many different categories. I don't see a damn thing wrong with one band playing a little bit of everything, mixing it up, because that way you're building a much bigger fan base and introducing them into different music. I mean, I think it's great. I think you're on the right track.
Well, a lot of bands like to play it safe, and our A&R rep, Tim King, he mentioned it to me. He's like, you guys aren't necessarily playing it safe by being as versatile as you are. And before we decided to sign with them, I did go out label shopping. I went through a bunch of different labels that were wanting to sign us since, I dropped the Who We Are record. And, I kept those conversations alive and stayed in contact. I got some good feedback on some of them, and some of the labels were telling me to be heavier. And it's like, well, we're already an aggressive band. We're not exactly light listening music. And, we aren't a deathcore band. We're not death metal. We have some death metal influences. Other labels, they want you to stick. Hey, why don't you do more of a album? You got a couple rock tracks on the album. They're great. Why don't you do a whole record like that? I wasn't willing to do that. I would get bored.
Yeah.
And I'd get bored playing just straight extreme metal too.
Yeah, you can't pigeonhole yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's what sucks with the labels nowadays is a lot of labels want to play it safe. The A&R reps are worried about their jobs in the digital age because the labels don't make the money that they did back in the 80s.
They don't need all those people.
So these A&R guys don't have necessarily the freedom that they have or had. My buddy Jared, he's from Head PE, the lead singer.
Oh, yeah.
He's on the same label as us, and, he ran into a lot of problems with Head PE throughout the years that they've been together because Head PE is all over the place.
Oh, they're a mixed bag of everything, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, they had a lot of labels to try and tell them, stick with this style, blah, blah, blah. And he kind of worked with some of the labels on prior releases, but he's a lot happier where he is now because he does have that freedom to kind of do whatever the hell he wants as a writer. If he wants to play reggae from playing straight metal, then let the guy play reggae if he really wants to. And the fans are used to them being versatile like that. And that's kind of the thing that I've been with Beyond Threshold as it's developed, and it's developed a lot better than it ever has. I'll be honest, I'll cringe at some of the older albums, like when people tune into it, because, it's the transition from being local to a nationally torn band, and so, and especially, I'm a lot more comfortable with the lineup that I have in the band now. They're great writers, they're great musicians, they're great at showmanship. This is definitely the Beyond Threshold I've been patiently waiting for 5 years to come out.
Well, the people are going to get to see you here pretty soon, and you're touring with a mixed bag of folks here the next month. I mean, Sebastian Bach, Flaw, 1,000 Foot Crutch, Nonpoint. I mean, it is talk about a mixed bag. You guys are even touring that way, not just your music, but with the bands you're putting out that you're going out with.
Oh, I know, man. And see, that's what's great with our management right now. Like, all right, right before Dawkins did their reunion tour, which I know that poor Don is all over the press right now getting bashed.
Yeah, Don is just a strange one. Yes, that poor guy.
He's kind of like the bitter old musician, like
get off my lawn.
Yeah, get off my lawn, kid. I've already dealt with this crap. Well, you know, and I've had conversations with him and Nick Brown, and, you know, they're like, Jesus, kid, you know, and they love the band. They absolutely, and it's weird because to them, they've never seen anything like that before. So, like, when we're out there doing dates with them, he's like, how the hell do you do that, kid? I'm like, oh, I warm up off the dock, and, you know, I stroked it a little bit. But, you know, I've been in contact with him, and, you know, whether the guy, you know, he's obviously going to get bashed, but he is a truthful guy.
Right.
And you know what? I'm not going to say anything, you know, being a younger musician in this game to the guy that, you know, he told me straight up, kid, I've been doing this for 38 years. What do you say to a guy like that?
Right.
You know?
Nothing. You just let them go. You just let them go. Let them rant. Do their thing. Yeah.
Oh, man, it's so weird with, like, the 80s bands. They all, when you get them, like, backstage, it's so interesting because they all know each other.
Yeah.
They all talk some serious crap about each other.
Yeah.
I love it. I just sit there and laugh because, you know, you hear these screwed up stories that, you know, don't necessarily make their way to press.
Right.
But as far as, like, the whole versatility of the band, yeah, our management's going to put us out with whoever makes sense and whoever is best for Beyond Threshold. And what's kind of cool is we're able to go out with bands like Kill Switch or Hatebreed.
Yeah.
We could go out with bands like 1,000 Foot Crutch. We could go out with bands like, you know,
you got
Doggett
Flaw,
or
Non-Point.
Yeah. Yeah, also Non-Point. It's always awesome doing stuff with them.
Yeah.
Like, well, they got a very versatile crowd. You know, you got a lot of active rock people that are happy to hear rock music, but they cross genre into heavy metal. And, you know, and then you got the straight metal boyfriends that are sitting there that get dragged out by the girlfriends, and so when they hear the metal band jump out of nowhere, they go nuts.
Right.
You know, and, you know, me and Rob have had the conversation many times. You know, like Non-Point, they love to go out with metal bands. They love it. You know, he's told me straight up he prefers to go out with metal bands. Me, sometimes it really depends, but sometimes I like to go out with rock bands more.
Right.
Because then it's kind of a different thing when Beyond Threshold takes a stage. It's the extra dynamic. And then sometimes it's good to go out with bands like in your genre. Like when we go out with Hatebreed and do stuff with Jamie, it's always awesome.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's perfect because, you know, he's got a lot of heartfelt fans out there.
Yeah.
And it's very inspirational type lyrics and message that he has for the Hatebreed camp. And, you know, lyrically, it's kind of the same kind of direction that we are with Beyond Threshold. And, you know, with the whole Live the Fight message, you know, the whole damn record is dedicated to, you know, bettering yourself and following the things that are true to your heart and not letting anybody get in the way of that, you know?
Absolutely.
And I'll stick by that. You know what? I'll be the Rocky Balboa of heavy metal singers. You can knock me down, but I'm going to keep fighting, my friend, and I'm going to keep doing what's right, to rep that metal flag and rep everything that is rock and everything that is just in aggressive music. Like, it doesn't matter, you know? Like, we were just, we just did our CD release show, our official release date.
Right, with Black Dahlia Murder. Was it Black Dahlia Murder?
Yeah, Yeah. You know, those guys are 1,000 times heavier than we are. It's like, holy crap. Yeah. Like, you know.
That's what I was saying. The people you're touring with, it is a hodgepodge of the music rock industry. It's all over the board, which is phenomenal, man. It's great.
Hey, you know what? As long as my management's willing to let me do it right now and my agent's willing to book us that way, I'm going to stick with that, and I'm just going to keep doing it. We're going to get through all our November dates now. Like, we're adding all our December stuff. I know that we'll be hitting the East Coast soon, and then we're going to go west. And depending on how things go, hopefully we'll be going overseas on the record, too. I've been wanting our agent, Dan DeVita at TKO, he's based out of London.
Oh, right on.
And, you know, he does a great job out there, and I would love to get over there. I just have this feeling that if we get out there that a lot of those heartfelt type music fans would appreciate Beyond Threshold. Or maybe we'll flop. You know, who knows? Like, there's certain bands that have gone out there, like, like, who was I being told by? Like, Van Halen didn't necessarily break out there right away.
Right.
You know, and look at how big Van Halen is. Like, it is an enterprise. It's larger than life. But, you know,
not my cup of tea, man. Not my cup of tea. I'm not gonna lie. Never was a big Van Halen fan.
I wasn't necessarily the biggest Van Halen fan, but I did get a little bit more appreciation with Van Halen when I slept with the teacher. I was pretty young too. Like, that was the bro card that I got to throw with my friends. But
hell yes,
hot for teacher kind of stood out to me, and I do appreciate the antics of him saying no, leave the heels on.
Right. Give you a little something to play off of. There you go.
You mentioned, like, in the beginning of the interview, is there something that you wouldn't want to talk about? And I kind of was like, nah, not really. As we're going into this conversation, we're not even really talking about the record, but you know what? I'd rather talk about, like, everything in this world, man, because people get so sick of the same kind of musicians out there that are basically, you know, reading from a teleprompter when they're promoting a record.
And using all these...
We're a fun band.
Using all these big fancy words to describe their album when half the people listening to their music don't understand a goddamn word they're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, they're all articulate about how they're describing, you know, the different transitions in their record and blah, blah, blah. Now, you know, I can appreciate that with musicians, and I'm a big music theory junkie, but when it comes down to it, man, like, people just want to hear music. They don't want to hear about all that crap.
Yeah, you're talking layman's terms. Let's go. You're talking to your fans. They don't know what half the shit means, man. They're done with it.
They don't want to hear about time signatures. Crap, I'm actually guilty of it on this interview. I was just talking about vocal harmonies and stuff. But it definitely applies to...
That's not as bad. You know, that's not as bad, man. That's not as bad at all. Yeah.
Well, the point of the conversation is I'm not going to cheat, man.
Right.
Like, I'm going to do a raw dog. You know, I'm going to spice up the studio a little bit. You know why? Because I'm not jumping around on stage and killing myself.
Right.
You know, sometimes those performances will hit me the wrong way. Like, you know, if the engineer doesn't set, you know, if the monitor wedges aren't set a certain way, and that's why some of these guys are a little tough on their sound engineers, you know, could really damage something out there live, you know. And singing heavy metal, it's not easy, especially when you're switching between genres, you know.
Absolutely, yeah.
But, you know, one of my last performances, you know, I got off stage, you know, place was going nuts, and I sat there and threw up for like 2 minutes after I got off stage. But, you know, you might get heat stroke up there, you know, you don't want to push, like, you want to push hard and put on a performance, but you don't want to kill yourself.
Was that in San Antonio?
What, throwing up?
Yeah.
No, that recently was our performance with Black Dahlia.
Okay, because I had
a
friend of mine who saw a show in San Antonio a while back and told me that the lead singer went off the stage and started puking, and I was like, holy shit. And it was because of heat.
It could have been me. It is a normal thing that happens in the band. Like, there's this one time in the middle of our set, you know, and we're doing a longer extended set. We're probably second to last song, and, like, there's a midsection that just pauses and it rings out. I start amping the crowd. And me and my drummer are exhausted and we have these huge mover lights, huge venue, place is packed, you know, we're just, it's like 98 degrees in there, you know, it's just smoking. And, you know, during that ring out, it happened at the right spot, but I look over at my drummer and he just starts vomiting on his snare drum. And I'm sitting there looking at him, and I got a weak stomach already, man. If I see any kind of feces or poop or something that smells crappy around me, like, I might puke. You know. So right away, he starts puking, and I'm already tired. I'm like, ugh. So he's puking on his snare drum. I start puking. And, you know, we're laying out. We're still in chime, and I'm like, let me hear you guys. And they're all cheering. And I'm looking at my drummer like, oh, no, is he going to be okay? And he looks up at me all, like, evil looking. And this has happened And then he tries, and he's like more into it, and then he starts snapping his snare.
Oh.
And you see see the puke jumping up and down on his snare. And we start going into the next section of the song. I'm like, wow, this reminds me of some Slipknot stuff that I seen back in like '99.
Right, back when they first started, yeah.
Oh man, well when those guys first came out, man, like they were literally. See, I wish I could get away with this kind of crap. It's probably a good thing that I can't. You know how the rules are now.
Right.
But man, I would watch those guys like hit each other with bats on stage for real.
Cinder blocks, throw cinder blocks at each other. Yeah, shit was crazy. Yeah.
You know, you'd see them light things on fire on stage, and you figured that it was all controlled. And no, it wasn't controlled, man. These guys were just being totally insane.
Yeah.
And just using random gasoline to light stuff on fire. You know, nowadays they got all the super huge pyrotechnic people on their tour packages and everything's controlled, you know. But that's what's cool about that rawness of back then, and that's what that reminded me of, you know, watching my drummer, you know. Like I remember watching those guys like puke on themselves and wipe it on.
Yeah, those guys were nuts, man. Those guys were nuts.
The crowd was going nuts, and they had a nice clear view of them. And we had projection screens at this venue too. So he's on a projection screen, you know, big and proud with puke flying in the air, and people are just going nuts. It's like, wow, that just happened.
Hell yeah.
I told him, I'm like, you know what, dude? After the performance, I'm like, this is one of those stories that will be great to tell on an interview sometime.
Here you go. Hell yeah. Well, man, you know what? We're gonna let you get out of there on that, man. This has been a very fun. This has been probably one of my favorite interviews I've done in a long time. I've greatly enjoyed talking to you, man. Hopefully, you get down here into the Kansas City area and we can do it for real, man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm looking forward to meeting you out there. I will be announcing more tour dates here soon, and I know that it's definitely on our radar. Make sure you say what's up to me and hit me up outside of this, and maybe we could have a beer or something when I'm in the area. Absolutely, man, for real. We'll definitely get that done. I'm looking forward to it, man. All right, Eric, I appreciate your time, bud. I'll be hopefully I'll be seeing you soon.